Welcome to the DC Multicast Podcast. I am your host, Keith Chow. We are finally back after a 5-year hiatus for the second season of DC Multicast, in which we rewatch every single movie in the DC film canon. We started back in 1951 with Superman and the Mole Men. We ended on the 1989 Batman, on the 30th anniversary of Batman. But now, just like Batman returning, the DC Podcast returns. And I'm here with my guy, Julian Lytle. He's the movie and TV critic for Riot Us, as well as The Beat with Heidi McDonald. Welcome to the first episode of season 2 about Batman Returns, Julian Lytle.
Thank you for having me on, Keith. We're going to talk about this GOAT Christmas movie that people need to acknowledge as a Christmas movie. Batman
It
Christmas.
Is the best. Forget Die Hard. Forget Edward Scissorhands.
That's my favorite. I ain't gonna lie. Die Hard is my favorite. There's but Batman Returns in the top 5.
Oh yeah, no, I'm rocking the Batman Returns Christmas sweater. It is definitely slept on as the ultimate Christmas movie. It's the one I replay.
Christopher Walken stole the show from everybody. Why is he not in continuity?
We're gonna get into like how Max Shreck presages the current political landscape, where you have a billionaire oligarch running the scenes behind a clown running for office. But that's later in the episode. We're going to talk about Batman Returns, 1992, June 19th, the sequel to the blockbuster Batman, starring Michael Keaton, Michelle Pfeiffer, Danny DeVito, Christopher Walken, and directed by Tim Burton, written by Daniel Waters, based on a story by Daniel Waters and Sam Hamm. It made $266 million worldwide, which at the time was actually considered flop. Not a flop, but not
the same as money as the first movie.
Of the first one, which led to the recasting and Tim Burton leaving and all the kind of stuff that we'll eventually get to when we get to the next movie in the franchise. But we're going to start here on June 19th, 1992. Before we get into like talking about the movie, reading the synopsis and everything, I wanted to ask you, Julian, where were you in June of 1992?
In the movie theater.
Watching Batman.
get taken to see Batman Returns. Because that first Batman movie had an effect. I was already a Batman fan. Like one of the first comics, in terms of me considering myself a comic book reader, it was that I was 7 when I read Dark Knight Returns. Mm-hmm. I read it in the Walden books.
Remember them?
my mom and my grandmother was shopping, and I was just in there just looking at this Batman comic with this lightning bolt cover, and I was like, and I was shocked. I was like, why is Ronald Reagan in this? This is nothing like the TV show in which they get into a weird trap and they say, holy blah, 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 Batman, how are we gonna get out of this? And they come back next week. Blah, 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 blah. Like, I was like, okay.
Now Batman's punching Superman in the face in this
one. Man, it was a whole bunch of stuff going on. There's mutants and there's big tanks. And so by that time I had my own views on Batman. And then, the first Batman movie had a Prince album.
I've said this before. Batman might be my favorite Prince album. I know that's like blasphemy.
No, I don't know if it that's an entirely different podcast about Prince eras and runs. Like, I think you could make a strong case for Batman. But yeah, you see the trailer for Batman Returns. Michelle Pfeiffer got the crazy Catwoman outfit on. And DeVito's the Penguin. And the trailer crazy. And then the car, and then they have a giant rubber duck, and then the McDonald's had the cups
with the lids
with the amazing art on it, with the amazing like airbrush art. You can't tell nobody. And the glass, man, Batman Returns in summertime. You just get out of school, you trying to see Batman.
Yeah,
that joint was fire. It was fire.
I mean, and it came out 3 years after the first one. That's back in the day when sequels were like coming 3-year cycles. Batman came in 99, 92 was when the sequel came out. But yeah, to your point, people like, maybe if you're listening to this and you're too young to remember Batmania of 89, that was essentially like when that first trailer dropped for the first Batman. We talked about this in the original podcast. Like the first Batman trailer, people were like going to buy tickets to see whatever movie that was attached to in 1989 just to see the trailer. And then leave like right before the movie starts, right?
Who cares?
Right. You just want to see the trailer. And that, like the merch, like the Batman t-shirts, everybody had a Batman t-shirt in 1989. So the hype going into the sequel was unparalleled. And which is why I think the sequel disappointed so many people in the era, because I think there's been a reassessment of Batman
Yeah.
Returns. But at the time, the Warner Brothers was unhappy. McDonald's was very unhappy with the movie. A lot of kids were not feeling the movie. I wasn't one of them. I loved it from Jump Street. Like I was in the theater with you, not with you. I was actually we
Yeah.
were visiting family in Canada at the time. Why it's indelible to me is that I'm also a huge Chicago Bulls fan, and we were in Canada, so I had to like find where the Bulls games were on because they were in the finals. They had
Mm-hmm.
just won their second championship, their back-to-back title. 5 days later, Batman comes out, so I'm like, I'm still on a high from watching
No, that
Michael
was a
and
good. That was a
Scotty.
good. That was a good June. That was a
Yeah,
good June.
and we found so we were watching the games on some Canadian channel, and then we had to find a theater because like every game had the Batman commercials. So I was like, that's where that was my mindset going into seeing Batman Returns
Yeah, man, that was. And I think at that time we kind of also knew that the Batman animated series was starting in the fall
in the
because they
fall, right?
already started promoting it on Fox. And I'll be
Yep.
like, yo, Batman. Yeah, you're right. I don't think people younger don't understand. Like, you guys think that Tony Stark got big? Nah, bro. Like Batman, there's a reason why Batman's still the bar because
Yeah.
it's like Superman was it from like 78 until like that last movie came out. And
Yeah.
then that Batman hit, and Batman was like, yes, it's like
He took I mean, it's interesting if you look at the lineup for the 2 seasons of this podcast. Season 1, we started with the first Superman movie in 1951 with George Reeves. And of the 10 movies we reviewed for that season, most of them were Superman movies, right? It was
mm-hmm.
Molman, and then of course 78, and then the 3 sequels. Steel is well,
It's
I'm sorry, not
Superman
Steel.
movie.
Steel is a
Wait.
Supergirl is the
Later.
adjacent Superman movie.
Supergirl, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Steel's going to be in this season, so we're
yeah.
going
Yeah.
to get to that. But then there were two like random Batman movies. There was the 66 movie and then the 89 movie that capstoned it. This season it's going to be a run of all Batman movies in the beginning, right? And then your
Zeke.
adjacent Superman movies with Steel and eventually Superman Returns, and then we're going to end back with Batman movies with Dark Knight. So like it's kind of the reverse of the first 10 movies in the DC
Yeah.
canon. It was all
Yeah.
Superman in the beginning with a little bit of sprinkling of Batman, some swamp things here and there. And then this era is all Batman with a couple Superman stuff sprinkled in.
Yeah. And like comic book wise, at that point, I know people love the burn era of Superman. Not saying it's bad, but like like once you hit the 90s and Batman has 4 books, he got a book a week, and like Legends of the Dark, like offshoots and Elseworlds and Gotham by Gaslight come out. This like nah, Batman got the Nintendo game. Batman had the arcade game.
Look, there's a reason the publisher is named after a Batman comic.
I'm just like Batman is him. Like all these, the only other superhero who gets the same amount of juice is the Spider-Man. That's it. Like everybody else is a number 2 and is dim too. Like Batman is him. Batman travels globally. You will be randomly seeing like a terrible disaster on television somewhere in the world, and it might be like 2 kids, and they guess what they got on? Batman t-shirt.
Well, and people complain, like you can tell I'm an action figure collector. People complain McFarlane Toys like make too many Batman figures,
He
but
sell.
there's a reason.
He sell. Like there was a period where like the little DC animated movies, and they were like, why don't you make this and that? It's like actually they just came out, was like Batman movies sell.
Yeah, is Batman in it? That's why we didn't make it.
Like we gotta have Batman in it. It's not as that's who people coming for. Like,
yeah.
And then I do thinking about the movie like Batman Returns is like I don't even think it was appreciated. I almost think like now it's different. Like now movie studios gotta have a big movie for Christmas time. But back then they didn't actually need a big movie for Christmas time that had like almost nothing to do with Christmas. Like when we were younger, like they had to have it needed to be something like Miracle on 34th Street remake for some reason. Like it can only be a Christmas movie. Now you can just have a big movie at Christmas time. And I almost think if they would have put that out like in Thanksgiving,
it might have been bigger.
Because it was a summertime and this movie's a Christmas movie.
Well, I remember that first teaser poster was the logo that was snow.
It's snow on it. It's just like, all right, cool. But like and like thinking about it, like it would have put people in a different mood. Like, oh man, Batman fighting villains in Christmas time. let's go. But like it was a different
Yeah.
world. Movie
Yeah,
wise,
I
it was a different
mean,
world.
people don't realize like back in the early 90s that back in the early 90s, just the way we approached movies was different. Movies stayed in theaters longer back then too. So like as much as
Yeah.
this was not considered a hit, it was in theaters for like half
The
a
whole
year.
summer. It was at least you were seeing it. Like you'd be like, all right, like I want to go see Batman again. And like after the main run, it'll be in the second theater run for like, oh, this is the dollar theater run. For
Right.
like another 2 months, you'd be like, I'm just gonna see this for $1 because I want to see Danny DeVito crash out. Like
So yeah, so I mean, I think what really shocked people, which is weird if you go back and watch the first Batman movie too, because if you really like go back and watch the first Batman movie, that wasn't for kids either. But there was this perception that like Batman, maybe it was the Adam West show, maybe it's the fact that it was always the best-selling toy, it's always been in a cartoon. Batman as a family-friendly property is always what it carried with it into the Burton movies. And with the first Batman movie, there was still like an element. I mean, Tim Burton has said he doesn't love the first Batman movie because it didn't feel like a Tim Burton movie. Whereas Batman Returns, I mean, some people might say to its detriment, is very much a Tim Burton movie. Like
mm-hmm.
one of the criticisms of Batman Returns is that it's not a great Batman movie, but it's a hell of a awesome Burton movie. And like he's in his Burton-is way in this movie from top to bottom, from the clown stuff to the circus stuff to the red white candy stripe stuff, which is very prominent in every single Tim Burton movie. He goes full force, even turning Penguin from like a gangster to a mutant hybrid
Yeah,
Birdman.
a bird. Yeah, like I think supernatural Catwoman and mutated, we were weirdly able growing up with actual penguin. And as we talk about this movie in 2024 after like the Penguin show where he's just like a New Jersey
Where he's Tony Soprano.
Italian dude, like Italian adjacent, like maybe half Italian guy that's really just doing gangster stuff. And you go back and watch this, is like, I'm ugly, I'm weird, I got weird thin hands, and then I'm gonna be turned into a politician.
But he's horny as fuck too.
And like,
That's what bothered people in the movie back
yo,
then.
he was mad sloppy looking, and he was mad horny. And Michelle Pfeiffer was in that outfit. And you see, Vicky Vale in the first movie is just like a damsel. Kim Basinger just looked pretty. Mm-hmm. And then like Joker, like, oh, you a baddie, I'm gonna kidnap you. And then like Bruce Wayne's like, maybe I can have a life, but it's kind of like it. Catwoman is like his equal, and it's like, oh man, Catwoman and Batman might be like doing the thing, and maybe that just rubbed adults in a weird way, like, what do you mean, Batman and Catwoman? I mean, she's a criminal. And Penguin wants her, she's licking her hand like a cat, and then like
he's eating that fish.
Eating that fish raw. And then you got Christopher Walken being Christopher Walken in the whole movie. I think maybe that was just like, wait, is this King of New York or is this a Batman movie? What are we doing?
Christopher Walken at his most Christopher Walken too, right? Like he's almost doing a Christopher Walken impression.
I'm sitting back like he should have came back. Like, I don't know how, but
did they ever bring Max Shreck into the comics? If there's been one crossover that needs to happen, Max Shreck needs to be a billionaire in the DC universe.
He needs to be in the comic. The way I would write Max Shreck, bro, running Amazon, whatever Batman is on is, or whatever Gotham is on is in DC universe. Just be
like
terrible.
The funny thing in the movie is that he's a tycoon that just owns like department stores.
Yeah, back when that was a thing. Like he like ran
Roebuck, you're right.
Yeah, because that used to be a major thing. Like, oh, you got all the stores, you got billions, and that's another one of those things where it pokes the holes into whole like, oh, Batman, you got money, you can solve problems with money. It's like, nah, if you got other billionaires who got the same amount of money, that was to make things worse.
Yeah. Which is a point they make in the movie, right?
Yes.
Like that's actually one of the plot points. So let's look at the synopsis of Batman. This is the official IMDb synopsis. This might not be the one that they officially released back in 1992, but we're going to use what we're going to use. Mm-hmm. So according to IMDb, this is the synopsis. In the sewers of Gotham City, to the rooftops of Gotham City, Penguin, Danny DeVito, wants to know from where he came. Catwoman, Michelle Pfeiffer, plans to kill rich men of Gotham, Max Shreck, Chris Walken. But as he battles with the millionaire Bruce Wayne, Michael Keaton, both ladies' men have their own secrets. Bruce Wayne is back as Batman trying to stop the Penguin. Max is helping Penguin steal Gotham City, while Selena Kyle, Catwoman, tries to help Penguin, not knowing her main murder target, is also who the fuck writes these IMDb synopses? I'm not doing
Nah,
this again.
yeah, that
This
might
ain't
be,
it, man.
might be
This ain't
better to
the
get like the probably the Wikipedia one might be better because it's
yeah.
kind of like
Well,
yeah.
Wikipedia one's too damn long.
Oh
Point
yeah.
is I mean even
I should have grabbed my disc because I think I own that
I
movie.
should look at the back of the book. That's right. The back of
Yeah.
the box is probably better. Basically, Penguin Oswald Cobblepot is abandoned by his parents, Pee Wee Herman and
Mm-hmm.
Elaine Stitch. I think it was
Yeah, I think so.
from
Yeah.
both from Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Throw their baby in the river
Their
because he
mutant
has
baby. Yeah.
fin hands. There's nothing else wrong with him. It's just his hands are deformed.
Yeah.
And they throw his ass in the sewer. And the whole opening of the movie is his carriage floating through the river into the sewer until it lands at the abandoned zoo and a bunch of emperor penguins pick it up. And from that point you're just like, what the hell is this movie going to be?
Yeah, because it's like, yeah, even as a kid, you look like, yo, what kind of like, what? Like you mean the man with with the monocle and the top hat, like and the cigarette holder? What you be like even from them, you know, like oh he the penguin because he got the fin hands,
Yeah.
and then Pee Wee Herman is just like, you know, Pee Wee Herman got the monocle. He's like, oh there's these rich upper crust people that's like they don't want their little mutant baby or whatever. And maybe I could have called mute, but like he has the fins. That's it. They just like they
Yeah.
put him in the thing like he Moses. It's like Dark Moses story. Like not that he's like
Right,
I need to save him. I need to like we can't have him. We got to get him out of here. And then it's like you kind of learn something like oh yeah, penguins do be taking care of their kids though. Like
right. Well, that's the thing. Like penguins, like they bond for life. They are truly monogamous, animals. And so from that point, it cuts to the Red Triangle Circus Gang is attacking Gotham City, and my favorite intro to Batman in any movie is because it's the most ridiculous. Bruce Wayne is just sitting in his den in the dark, not looking at a computer, not reading a book. He's man just sitting in the dark, looking down, thinking about his parents getting murdered, probably.
mm-hmm.
Commissioner Gordon sends a signal up to the sky, and how people don't know Bruce Wayne is Batman is beyond me. The signal activates a bunch of Batman signals on the property of Wayne Manor and shines onto Bruce Wayne sitting in his den, and he realizes, oh, it's time to be Batman.
It's time to go to work.
I love it because it's so ridiculous.
It's cinematic. It's cinema.
It's like cinematic as hell.
Like
that look with fire. Him with his hand on his chin.
He looks up. The music kicks like, hey, man, he about to get ready.
We're also introduced to Michelle Pfeiffer's Selena Kyle. She is not Catwoman yet. She is just a lowly secretary working for the the owner CEO of Max Shreck of Shreck Industries. Max Shreck, played by Christopher Walken, and she's a put upon secretary, and that's kind of her origin story. Is she's this mousy little woman who's like she's single and she's like her mom is bugging her about getting married. She's got the great scene in her apartment where she always says honey I'm home, and that foreshadows something that's going to be really cool when she becomes Catwoman. And eventually she finds some nefarious things happening with Max Shreck, and he pushes her out of a window. And this is again superhero origin number 2 or supervillain origin. Penguin got thrown into a river. Selena gets thrown out the window. He's saved by magic penguins. Who is Selena saved by?
By the cats. The cats bring her back to life.
Lick her back to life.
Lick her back to life with magical cat. Like, what is she connected to Bast? Like, is she like what? Like, you should think about like how did
first Black Panther?
I was like, you sit back and say, wait, how did the cats got magic? Like, is this Cat's Eye like the movie with like what is going? Like, how did they bring her back to life? It's like, okay, all right, like again, if you a kid is like, all right, superheroes, like
because now she can do flips and like crack a whip. So like the cats
can be a cat. You know what I'm saying? She's a cat. Like literally, she's a cat person.
But that leads her back to the apartment where she says, she has the hello there neon sign on her wall that she cracks and it says hell here. It's like I mean the thing about Batman Returns is just filled with like iconic moments.
And visuals
all throughout. The visuals, the I mentioned earlier the Red Triangle Circus Gang is attacking downtown Gotham, and Batman's whole like he doesn't even get out the car.
He beat him up in the whip. That was crazy.
And like I think that this movie is Michael Keaton's best turn as Batman because he doesn't talk. And in fact, like there's one of my favorite scenes is as he's like leaving the scene, Commissioner Gordon's like talking his ear off and he's just like ignoring him as he walks back to his car. What stands out to you the most in terms of like Michael Keaton's portrayal as Bat? Because this was his last portrayal until The Flash for 30 years. So, looking back at this, you know, his ultimate performance as Batman. What is your takeaway of Michael Keaton in this movie?
I think Michael Keaton in this role is the one where he's like, I'm Batman, versus like compared to Batman 89, where he's also like the movie is basically introducing Bruce Wayne and Batman and kind of setting up like his motivations and almost like he's getting used to being Batman and probably trying to, find his way into the character and the different dualities of it and bouncing off Jack Nicholson. Like Batman Returns Batman is the more like the Batman you read every month. It's like, yo, I'm Batman all the time. Like I'm Batman and Bruce Wayne. Like,
right.
I gotta go do these little boring things with rich people, and then I gotta get out in the street. It's like the entire idea of Batman is like Commissioner Gordon puts up the signal, he sees the signal, he gets away, he put the suit on, he go beats up bad guys, and it repeats. Like I'm Batman all the time. This is the way I think. Like there's no evolution or change, or there is no arc to Bruce Wayne Batman in this movie. It's not about him. Like he's there. But
and this is probably the first. I mean, you could argue Jack Nicholson overshadows Batman in the first movie, but this is clearly like sets a pattern because they follow this pattern. I guess like for the rest of every Batman movie is that there's always two villains, at least two villains, and their origin stories have to be told, and Batman kind of becomes third bill, and that kind of starts with this movie, right? Because like a lot of it is dedicated to Selina's story, a lot of it is dedicated to Oswald's story, and a lot of it is dedicated to Max Shreck's story, honestly. So like Batman, because Batman is established, he's, we don't revisit his trauma, we don't revisit his origins, he's just Batman. What is to me the most interesting thing about Keaton's performance here is that, and I might push back a little bit about saying he doesn't have an arc. I mean, he kind of has an arc, but then he regresses. Is that there's a period where he realizes like I think he fully accepts his duality with Selina. Like my favorite aspect of this whole movie is their relationship and particularly the scenes in which like they're making out but they're trying to hide the fact that they have these like
bruises and identities. Oh yeah, the superhero identities and all this stuff. Like I think that does work, but in a lot of ways, I guess for me thinking about it, it's just like the movie's Batman Returns, but in a lot of ways the protagonist feels like Selina Kyle.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Batman is her love interest.
Right.
So like while he has things that like, oh, this is the person I kind of want to be with. I can be with her. And Alfred's like, I don't know. She kind of a baddie. You might need to go ahead. Oh, she Catwoman too? Like, oh, this could work. And like you see it, but it's kind of like you just really want her to get Max Shreck. And Batman's there. He's still Batman. He's this overwhelming force that like, yeah, you might be able to kill the woman, but when I get my hands on you, Max Shreck, and now get to later in the movie, you know who I am. I'm a beat the brakes off you. But
right.
He's still, to me, he's not like he's the love interest for the hero, and then there's this random other love triangle guy, freaking the Penguin there, who's like something for Batman to deal with.
Yeah,
but it's still over. It's still in a lot of ways versus like the what drives the Penguin is like, hey, I'm really a rich dude, but I'm not part of rich people's life, and I want the blonde woman in the leather. Like, why can't I get the baddie? Like
right.
But Batman's kind of like, yo, I'm Batman. Like
I'm just Batman.
like I'm in this war. Like, the little cute baddie here. Like we gonna dance, we gonna talk, we gonna, you know what I'm saying? Oh, she
with
bad.
the Susie the Banshee song in the background.
Yo, yeah.
But like, so I mean, that's a great point, and there's a reason why Catwoman is the breakout character of this movie. Like when you talk about iconography, her Catwoman is what transcends the movie. It's they were working on a Catwoman's. They weren't working on Batman 3. They were working on a Catwoman's offshoot with Daniel Waters and Michelle Pfeiffer that ultimately turned into the Halle Berry movie, but that's again a topic for another podcast. But
Yeah.
she's the one that was going to break out from this movie if they could have got their act together.
Yeah, they messed up. They know what they was doing back then.
Right.
Like now,
He would
like
have planned it ahead before they even made the movie.
yeah, Catwoman's this and that. Like it's kind of just something they do with Catwoman because it's like you could have made a movie with Anne Hathaway,
right.
but y'all didn't. Like you sitting here, you finish the Penguin, and it's just like y'all need to get Zoe on the phone before she just directs another movie because people will go pay to see Catwoman. Like
Yeah,
Catwoman is something.
She is definitely an iconic character, and it's funny that Harley Quinn has become the second most popular Batman character besides Batman, because there was an argument that could be made that if they were able to like capitalize on Catwoman the way they've marketed and merchandise Harley, she would be the second most popular Batman character.
It's interesting. That's an entirely different. I think the whole she's Deadpool for DC and
Harley, yeah.
And also it's like a different type. And she's like the battered girlfriend. Because you can say the same, like Joker has 2 whole movies. Mm-hmm. Like, how does Joker get a movie for Cat? Well, I say Catwoman doesn't have a movie, but the way we think of Catwoman, Selena
Kyle don't have it. Well, those Joker movies ain't the Joker either. We learn at the end of Joker.
Yeah, but it is what it is. Like they still like they were able to not only spin off Harley in connection to her relationship with Joker, her getting out of a terrible thing, and to be her own woman, her own hero, whatever, that you're also able to spin off the concept of the Joker into 2 whole other movies.
Right.
And Selena, is it because she's so closely connected to being like the main love interest of Batman? Because we're at that point where it's just like, who's Batman's love interest? Superman has Lois Lane.
She's the Lois Lane, right.
Yeah,
she's the Lois Lane to his Batman.
Yeah, Flash has Iris. Spider-Man has Mary Jane. This different characters, superhero characters, like, this is their boo. And
Batman's love interest is the Mission.
But it's like, but he got like 87 kids he take care of, and he ain't got no mama, and then like, why don't you just bring her home, bro? What are you doing? You like, come on, like.
Well, and that's a plot point in Batman Returns. There is a scene at the end. I know we're jumping around on the plot, but it doesn't matter. The scene at the end where he rips the mask off and he was like, "Come home with me." She's like, "No."
the most Drake thing he's ever done. Come on, real R&B Batman. See, also Batman Returns ain't have a killer soundtrack.
Yeah. It only had the one Susie and the Banshee song, which it's still a banger, Face to Face.
But it's not a whole joint.
It's not a concept album.
It's not Prince. It is not the Batman Forever.
Batman Forever soundtrack. Yeah, I mean, we'll get to this when we get to Batman Forever. Probably half that podcast is going to be talking about the soundtrack. You got Method Man, you got U2, you got Sunny Day Real Estate. Like, it was a hell of a soundtrack. But we're not here to talk about Batman Forever. We're here to talk about Batman Returns. And I will say, going back to the Penguin of it all, this is a good time to be talking about this movie too, because you mentioned the spinoff from the Batman, Colin Farrell's The Penguin. Probably my favorite show of the year. And
yeah, it's pretty high up there.
They pulled off something that Marvel still, to me, has not pulled off, and it's to make a TV show that's connected to the movie universe, but also like prestige in and of itself.
And you actually, how many people I talk to, like, in regular life at work that just ain't even see the Batman,
but they watch Penguin.
They watch the Penguin. They was that pilot grabbed him by the collar. Is like, nah, I'm watching this, and then you get to the end, and I'm getting people saying, why? What it is? Like, yeah, he got you. Yeah. That's what HBO TV does. And I completely agree. As much as people be seeming to be impressed with some of the MCU shows, again, it's the miniseries in an event that you need to read to figure out what is going on in the event.
Right.
And the Penguin is just the Penguin. Actually, all you need to know is Gotham City, and eventually
you can buy the Penguin hardcover and you're good.
Eventually, Batman might punch him in the face. Maybe not. Who knows? But the show is fire, and that's all you really need to know. And it's proof that, like, I mean, if nothing else, it's proof that Batman has the best rogues gallery in all of comics. Because you mentioned the Joker, we talked about Catwoman and Harley Quinn. Like,
what other I mean, Spider-Man notwithstanding, because those movies are trash. They're trying very hard.
They're doing it. There's the potential with Spider-Man villains, and I also think there's a potential with the Flash rogues.
Yeah.
The Flash,
But
rogues. I'm
I mean,
telling you, there's I can see it, Keith. I can see it.
but I mean, to be fair to the Flash, like the TV series did a really good job of like introducing his rogues gallery to a mainstream audience, right? Like, Wentworth Miller's Captain Cold, I feel like is probably something that like people who don't read comics liked his take on Captain Cold.
And
You know what I
Heat
mean?
Wave, and it's basically
Heat
like
Wave, all the break.
Yeah, they
See, but
become
I'm
Prison
saying,
Break again. It's just like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's cool. I get it.
but they are not mainstream to what you're saying about Harley Quinn, Joker, Catwoman. Now the Penguin. I mean, it helps that the old 60s show The Penguin was one of the main villains, so like there's like just institutional knowledge about that character.
I would even say Two-Face is actually to a certain level, like because of the Dark Knight was so good, and the coin flip dynamic, and the two hats, people kind
Tommy
of
Lee Jones, like
yeah.
I mean, you can't like there is not a Batman villain that could not stand on his own in a
the Riddler. Yeah, there's the Bat. Yeah, the characters are very, very, very strong. So
they just announced a Clayface movie. You know what I mean? Like, which I'm actually really excited for, because I feel like
there's potential.
There's so much potential.
Fire.
And then again, the horror guy to do it, Flanagan.
Is that who's doing it? So that's
like,
that's the right decision. It's like, nah, it should be a horror movie.
Yeah,
like he's a dude that becomes other people. Like he's not even. You can't really say he's a dude anymore. Like it's Clayface, and I think that leads into like how this movie works. Is like, when you say like the villains overshadow Batman. Let's be honest. When you're reading Batman comics, sometimes the villain is over. When they introduce Bane,
yeah,
it's just like, yo, is this a giant steroided luchador? He about to crush Batman. He's like, I don't even want to kill Batman. I just want to break him. Like,
well, to your point earlier about like 1992 being such a pivotal year for the character, because you had Batman Returns coming out, you had the animated series coming out that fall, but 1992 was also the year of Nightfall. They introduced Bane. They introduced the storyline. I think it culminated the following year, but like the beginnings of Nightfall was 1992.
Started,
That's when I started getting into comics, like legit, was because of Nightfall. I was always a Batman
covers,
fan.
Man.
But the Kelly Jones covers,
all that was
1992 crazy. is the year Batman became like where like I was always kind of like a casual. That's the year I became a nerd about Batman.
Yeah, because it's like Batman, Superman died.
Right, that was also 92. Yeah,
and it was like, okay, then what we gonna do this time? We gonna put Batman through the ringer.
We're gonna break his back.
That's our sequel. Our sequel to Killing Superman is we gonna have Batman go through it, and then he had to fight every single bad guy. And again, they were not even doing that. They pumping out video games. They pumping out more toys. You want the T-shirts, and it's like. And then the cartoon drop, and you seeing this, and Catwoman's up there, with the perfect outfit that connects it to the past of the 60s show, but pushes it to the future of like the 90s. And then, again, Penguin, Danny DeVito's Penguin is just interesting to look at. Yeah. And again, you got
and they
Max
incorporate
Shreck.
that into the animated version. Like, I don't think
that was crazy to me.
Bruce Timm, I don't think he originally wanted to make Penguin look like the mutant Birdman, but then because of the movie, I feel like maybe they went back and redesigned it. But
yeah, they probably had to, some type of synergy thing.
A little bit, right? Because they made Catwoman blonde. She'd never been blonde before, so they made her blonde in the cartoon. They made Penguin a little bit of a he still acted like the comics Penguin, but he had the
fins or whatever.
Long hair.
And he had a buzzard. I like that. He had a buzzard with him all the time.
Yeah, that's right.
But
yeah, so let's talk. I brought up the Colin Farrell of it all because I wanted to go back to the Danny DeVito, and he put his mark on the Penguin. Never been a version like that, and probably will never be a version like that again. But talk about the Danny DeVito energy and what he brought to Penguin.
See, I think that was interesting because Danny DeVito was such like interesting casting because it's like I think at that time Danny DeVito was transitioning and from like not just being a comedic actor from Taxi or whatever or comedies. He was also doing these kind of weird, interesting roles.
Like the dark comedy, like Throw Mama from the Train.
Throw Mama from the Train and stuff like that. So him being like the Penguin, and the nature of his stature or whatever, kind of fit perfectly with the Penguin, but he brought like this unnerving resentment and anger to everything the Penguin. Like he's like, I'm old. Like y'all owe, like all the society owes me for what y'all essentially y'all took this from me. Like my parents is part of y'all, but they got rid of me. But I want when I'm old. And he was able to be exploited by Shreck. And it works well because there's also a danger that you think, oh, like Penguin could actually kill Max if Max don't play this right. Because he got this gang of misfits, he's got that circus, and the circus look cold. Then the designs of the circus. See, that's when it's Tim Burton really on his like
the guy with big skeleton heads, and
that's him. That's him sitting on there with a pad, just drawing some stuff and passing it to his collaborators. Like, yo, I need you to make this. I need y'all to make this. And usually
poodle lady,
and then the I forget with the little
with the Jack in the Box thing.
And the monkey comes out, and it's like, yo, because it's almost like it's almost like that could have been a movie by itself, but it wasn't. It doesn't feel like it needed to be separated. But again, it's something else that is like overshadowing, I guess, whatever you might want from a Batman. Maybe that's why people had issues with it, because there was probably not enough about Batman. Right. But you're learning so much about the Penguin. And you actually, even with Catwoman, you don't learn a lot about her other than you knew this character from other movies like Working Girl or whatever. Like, oh,
right.
The put upon secretary, men being terrible, hitting on her, sexually, harassing her, this other, but she's never getting a chance to shine. And then like, dang, he had the audacity to kill her, but she come back to life. Mm-hmm. Other than that, you don't know much about Catwoman, but you know everything about the Penguin.
And she's not even really a criminal if you think about it. Like, she comes back as almost like a vigilante, but like, her first thing is she saves a woman from being raped, but then she like blames the woman for almost getting raped.
Like, stop being weak, punch these people in the face. It's like, it's maybe it's bad politics now, but it's also like, yo, she got pushed out of the building, got back up. So it's just like,
right.
Yo, you gotta do something about this. Like, you better elbow these people, knee them in the nuts or something.
Life's a bitch, now so am I. That's what her most iconic lines, right?
And she's just attacking billionaires, you know what I'm saying? She's
right. She was Luigi Mangione before he was cool.
There's a precedent within our culture of us celebrating certain folks for doing certain things.
Well, and talk about precedent. So like, this movie was prescient to our current, politics in that you were mentioning Max Shreck, and there's a whole subplot about Penguin running for mayor of Gotham City, and it's Max Shreck's idea, and he's like, if you want to get back at these folks, I'm gonna fund your campaign.
I'm gonna fund your campaign,
but I'm actually be the one pulling the strings, because this is all about him getting the power plant. That's all he wants. He wants the power plant, and to do that, he's gonna have this kind of figurehead run for office. And it's too many parallels to like the way our modern politics works. He's the Elon Musk before Elon Musk.
It's interesting that Max Shreck works is not only Elon Musk now, but our ideas of what Trump was then.
Right. Well, he was modeled on Trump
because he has his son. Like, right. It's like, Chip. He looks low key. He looks like, was it Eric is the oldest? Or whatever.
No, Don Jr. is the oldest.
He looks like Eric though. Like, he looks like the blonde son. And you're sitting there and you're like, oh, it's like the way in which Christopher Walken play, because there's the thing we call like, oh yeah, Trump is an idiot, Trump is that, and that's like, I don't know. He's gotten too far in my entire life for y'all to constantly call him an idiot. Like, he somehow get to be president twice.
Yeah. But he's got the ridiculous hair. He comes off.
That's what I'm saying. Max Shreck, Christopher Walken, living in New York. Most likely he's had to interact it. Like, these people, he knows this person, so he knows how to play this person.
Right.
So not only is he manipulating things to get what he wants, like, he's manipulating everyone around him except the one person who equals him in power and wealth, who he doesn't completely understand.
Like, why does Bruce Wayne such a goody two shoes?
Like, what is going on? And then you find out like, oh, this Batman been Batman the whole time. like, oh wow, this is kind of crazy. Like, I didn't put that together. Like, that's the most. See, that's almost like Lex Luthor, like when they never plays, like, you know what? You know, I should have seen this the whole time.
Yeah.
You never party, bro. Like, you never party.
Best reveal in the whole movie is we said, Bruce Wayne, why are you dressed up as Batman?
he's like, why would you do this? Like, why are you fighting criminals in the street?
You have money. What? I don't understand.
Like, I thought you was just a millionaire playboy. You like my ex-secretary too much. Like, like, what is going on? And it's like, but
well, and at the end of the day, it turns out Max Shreck he's the true villain of the movie.
Yeah,
more than even everything. Penguin.
Yeah, Penguin is just manipulated.
Right. Well, the whole I want to kill every firstborn baby is probably not cool.
Oh, when he goes full Passover, like I'm a plague. Like I was like
with his commandos, his penguin commandos. Come on,
go
Best
get him.
Part of the movie.
Go get him. Like I was like, what are you thinking about? You sitting here, and Tim Burton's like, you know, this is a Christmas movie. Let me throw some Jewish stuff in there too. I'm gonna have him get revenge on all the firstborns of the.
Well, you mentioned he was Dark Moses in the beginning.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna get revenge. I'm sitting here like, oh man,
with some candy cane missiles on your back.
Bro, he got armed penguins with rockets and stuff on. I'm like, it's good because it's like you can see it like, well, maybe if Bruce could have got to him earlier, he wouldn't have crashed out. Like,
I mean, that's
he's an orphan. Like, he's an orphan too. Like, I get it, bro. Like,
that's his dilemma in the movie. Like, he wants to bond with Penguin in the beginning of the film, right?
Like,
before he realizes the connection.
Like, before he's like, oh, you would have just.
You with the Red Triangle Circus Gang. I can't.
You would destroy the city, bro. Like that dang Max Shreck manipulate you. I gotta take you out.
Well, the one thing that does date the movie is that the way that Batman kind of upends the whole mayoral run is that he finds, you know, the hypocritical message that Oswald has about the people of Gotham, plays it for them, and then they turn on him. Can't do that nowadays. Like, you can't tell the people who voted for Trump. Trump hates you.
Hey, that ain't gonna work. That worked perfectly in 1992 because that is exactly how people respond. Like, what do you mean he hates us? He can't be a mayor or president or governor or whatever. 2020.
I played these folks like a harp from hell. Like, you used to do that nowadays. They'd be like, yeah, play me some more. I don't care.
Right. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you play this. We need to get to what we want. Like, it's right. Like, damn, you was too early, Penguin. You was too early. Things had to get way worse.
And I always want, like, what the firstborn stuff was always the plan. It wasn't like he was just mad because he couldn't become mayor. Like, if he became mayor, he was still going to murder every single baby.
He was going to like take the first months from all the rich. Like,
that was his plan all along.
Like, you didn't even think it like this. Like, my parents had a kid and got rid of it, and y'all know you saw her pregnant. And y'all ain't asked about the kid. Y'all just let them cook. No matter if they died or whatever. I forgot that part. Like, I don't even remember if they said like, didn't they like what happened to them? It's just like, y'all just let me grow up in a zoo.
Yeah. I think there was no record of Oswald was the point, right? Like, that was his whole thing.
But that's the thing, is like him, like, I know y'all saw her pregnant and y'all ain't asked no questions.
Penguin was right. They need to make t-shirts. Penguin was right.
Penguin had a legitimate issue, you know what I'm saying? Dark Moses, Penguin Moses had a problem.
So going back, what criticisms do you have of the film? Because again, when the movie came out, it was very controversial. It did not make as much money as the first Batman, led to the dissolution of the Burton verse, eventually became the Schumacher verse, and then that eventually led to a long hiatus before we got Batman again. But like, just kind of taking in some of the original criticisms, do you have specific kind of critiques of the film, like looking at it 30 years later? Because like I said, there's been a reassessment where folks who originally had negative thoughts have come to accept it, and it's lauded as one of the best Batman movies. I think Matt Reeves, to your point, cites it as one of his favorite Batman movies. Yeah,
because it's interesting because I kind of love Batman Returns ever since I saw it. Like,
right.
I think some of the people who had issues with it was like,
what they were expecting. They
were too old. You know what I'm saying? If you 12, if you 12 or 13, is like, I don't know, man, y'all, this is fire. Let me get that. When you get that VHS tape, it's like,
right.
You watching it. So it's just reassessing it. I think it came out at the wrong time. I think it shouldn't have came out in June, even though that was the methodology of putting out.
Right. They didn't have big blockbusters at Christmas then.
I think it needed a better soundtrack. I think some of the things that did help Batman 89 feeding this new idea of a superhero was like, yo, they had like the Prince soundtrack was crazy. Like before you saw the movie, you saw Bat Dance, you was like, yo, Prince is standing there as half Batman, half Joker.
Yeah, Gemini.
You like, what's
They
going
need to make a Gemini comic, by the way. You need to tell your boy Tom.
They put
write
him
the
in
Gemini comic.
they put him in the Batman 89.
Yeah, he's in that as a character, right?
Yeah, like they put him in there. But I was just like, the soundtrack, the marketing was on point. Like the t-shirts, the Batman. What's funny is like Batman Fever was still Batman Fever. Like I had to get a t-shirt. I would keep the tag, you know what I'm saying? Because remember there was a hologram. Like, you know, you still wanted everything. I just think maybe for most people it needed a little bit more Bruce Wayne. Like Bruce Wayne Batman actually having a little bit more connection. Maybe they could have added some more actual dynamics between Max and Batman in terms of like that stratosphere of the city, of the conflicting ideas of the rich and how they interact with society and what's good in terms of how they use their money and capitalism to help. Like that's not, it's really kind of like they have some chats in the end. It's like, why are you dressed like Batman? It's like, nah, like they shouldn't be a thing where it's like, nah, like I don't really like what you're doing with the mayoral campaign and
or the power plant. Like the whole thing with like they hint at it, right? Because they're like Bruce is like, I looked into the thing, I don't agree with it, and that's pretty much all it is.
They should probably could have had a little bit more of that, but you know, back then they was making sure movies didn't go too long.
Right. They didn't like make 4-hour movies back then.
Now it's just like, oh, the superhero movie gonna be 2 hours and 45 minutes. Oh well,
at least
you in there. Then it was like, yo, we need to make sure this joint done is like an hour and 50 minutes. Get people out of the theater. Like people got something.
The other interesting thing about Batman Returns is like the pre-production of it, because like the Daniel Waters script was this like the rewrite, because Sam Hamm, who wrote the first movie, had a script that had Robin in it, that had Two-Face in it, that had Vicky Vale in it. He kind of touches on a lot of that in his, and you mentioned the Batman 89 comic. He kind of brings a lot of that back in Batman 89.
Pay off the stuff that like you left at the last movie. Like
right. It was more of a direct sequel, whereas again, it's not really a criticism. It's just like what I think people maybe were expecting versus what they got. Tim Burton didn't want to do a sequel, and back then continuity was not a thing. It didn't matter if it didn't. If like Wayne Manor looks completely different in the sequel, if Gotham City looks complete, because Anton first didn't do the set design this time around. It was very much in a soundstage. Nothing was shot on location. Yeah, right. Like it's the same 3 sets in every scene.
If it's like most movies, it's like James Bond. It's like you had Timothy Dalton for 2 movies, but it's supposed to be the same guy that Roger Moore was.
Right.
But then also Pierce Brosnan come and they act like the only thing that goes back is that Q is there. There's like,
right.
You have adventures, James.
Right.
That's
you got
it.
the same Alfred, the same Gordon, everything else can be whatever.
It don't matter. Like it don't you don't need, you know, sadly, I do consider it sadly, what Kevin Feige has done is they made regular people into comic book fans, superhero comic book fans. And now they need to know how everything fits together perfectly.
Right.
And it's just like, nah, the world was kind of better when it just like, nah, we just got another movie, bro.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I don't know, back then the internet didn't exist. So I don't know if there were people who were really mad about like the lack of continuity. But, you know,
I think some people want to know, like, well,
what happened to Vicky Vale?
Yeah, what happened to Kim Basinger? Like, other than like, I think it's really simple. Like, yo, Kim Basinger was mad pretty. Like, when did you break up with?
Well, at least that's the one thing they mention in Batman Returns.
Yeah,
is that he kind of chastises Alfred for bringing Vicky into the cave. So like that on that side maybe, but like everything else, it's like it is a completely different movie from Batman 1. And you know, whether that's one of its weaknesses or its strength, I think it's up to the eye of the beholder. I find it as a strength because again, it is very, very much Tim Burton saying, I want to make my movie. The Sam Hamm script was very much a sequel to the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that got held over, and this is one of the most fascinating stories from the production of Batman Returns, is that Robin was in the script for up until casting, because they cast Marlon Wayans.
Who he said he still gets a check.
He still gets residuals, even though he got cut out the movie. They made a Robin action figure. Kenner made a Robin action figure for Batman Returns. It wasn't like just a random Robin figure. It was like Robin in his Batman Returns costume, which was very much predicated on the Tim Drake costume at the time. And, You know, that Robin, I'm not saying he looks African American, but he got a high top fade and it's a lot darker than the other characters that came out in the Kenner set back in the 90s. So you could say that was the what Marlon Wayans was supposed to look like in the movie. Do you want to visit the multiverse in which we had Marlon Wayans as Robin?
Well, at that point, you would need to show Marlon Wayans is Batman because at that point, Marlon Wayans is like 50, so I don't even want to see him.
No, I'm saying the multi back then. I'm saying like if we lived in the universe in which they didn't cut Marlon out.
Do you know how much the world would have been different if there was Black Robin? Like
in 1992. I mean,
in 1992,
because Two-Face was also supposed to be in the movie. And we would have had a black Two-Face.
Yo,
Black
people
Robin.
were still kind of like, I remember when you see, you'll get to it in a later episode, but when they changed Harvey Dent for Billy D. Williams, the coldest black man on earth at the time, to Tommy Lee Jones, it's like, yo, what happened? But if we would have had Black Robin, and then you would have had all the black comic book fans really actually telling people like, yo, Robin, he ain't no joke. It would have been like, the Robin propaganda would have been way different. Like the night with the whole idea, and then people find out, wait, Robin becomes what now? He becomes what? What's his name? Nightwing. What do you mean? Yo, that would have completely changed that.
The history of comic book movies would have
been the idea of the quote unquote blur would have been way like Black Robin, because it's Batman and Robin, they the dynamic duo, the dynamic duo, the Cape Crusaders, like he get his own motorcycle. Like
right.
That means Robin would have had him in black in the cartoon.
Right. That's a good right. And then he would have had the Tim Drake costume. It wouldn't have been like the original Dick Grayson. So he wouldn't look like a
They would have been Robin Joyce. They'd have been like, yo, Robin get with Batgirl. It'd been different. Yo, entire idea of fandom would have been different, bro. Like Teen Titans cartoon would have had a Black Robin.
I mean, it might have been one of those situations. It's like how Nick Fury can never not be black anymore. Going from, I mean, this was 30 years ago, right? So this is from that point forward.
I was 33, like 30, 32
Dick
years
Grayson
ago.
Would have always been a black character from
he's black. Dick Grayson black, bro. Like his parents was killed and Batman was like, yo, I'm bringing the black kid in my house, bro. It'd been mad different strokes jokes, but it's been like, yo, Robin out here catching. He's out here dealing out fades. Like, oh, he got his own gear. I'm telling you. And not only when they found out he was Robin, and then people would find out like, oh, he's Nightwing. Like the regular people would be like, you know, that he becomes and Teen Titans. It's like, hold up, he lead a team with a sexy orange chick from space. He get the sexy orange chicks from space too.
And we already got a Black Starfire, so like, I mean, we would have had a whole African American.
We would have
Black Love would have been in the comic book movies back then.
We would have seen NBA players talking about Robin. They would have been calling rookies like, oh, who's going to be Karl Malone's Robin? Who's going to be Charles Barkley's Robin? It would be crazy.
Well, you know, they already, I got a little beef with that. They already do that. And like when they talked about, again, I started this with saying, you know, I was in the middle of my Bulls fandom.
Oh, yeah. They was calling Pippen Robin all the time.
They was calling Pippen Robin at the time. But here's my argument. Michael Jordan, I've made this point on the Nerds of Color before. I might link to it in the show notes. But the Jordan Pippen as Batman Robin never made sense to me. Because Jordan was not Batman.
No.
Jordan was Superman. Right? Because he was the face of the league. His logo was...
He was undefeatable.
Right. His logo was as iconic as the S Shield. Pippen was his Batman. He was like stealthy. And he played defense. And he didn't get all the marketing hype. But if he wasn't there, he couldn't take down, you know, the Suns or the Blazers.
Everybody. But I think it was interesting that they kind of did that later on. Once there was the second three-peat, once you had Rodman there, because they had to change it up. It was like Superman, Batman, and Rodman. I was like, oh, okay. But I agree. He was never the sidekick. Like,
he was never the sidekick. It was World's Finest, not Dynamic Duo. That was the article I wrote many years ago on the Nerd.
Yeah, like it's just like I get why, you know, NBA stuff. I understand why Pippen is resentful in his older years.
Yeah,
against a lot of things.
My man lost his mind, but it's all good. Like you can never take away what he did on the court, but man, what he's doing off the court, man.
So it's only so much you can take from all these people. Disrespecting your legacy and what you brought to the game. And Future gonna take your wife? Nah. Oh, that's it. Break. Yeah. He became a Batman villain. Let's be honest.
Became the villain, right? Well, it's like Harvey Dent says in The Dark Knight. You either die or hero. One other Jordan connection, and I cannot do a Batman Returns podcast with a fellow NBA head without mentioning this. The boots that Batman wears,
Jordan
Batman Returns,
sixes.
were my favorite Jordans. Jordan 6s.
I don't, Keith.
You don't like
I
Jordan 6s?
no. I've tried to tell anybody I can to in connection to DC that they need to do a collaboration
That's what,
with
man,
Nike.
you and me are right here.
For Jordan sixes with the extension to make it the Batman Returns boot.
Yes.
They don't understand.
It's like what they did with the Back to the Future Nikes.
They don't understand that joint will not only would sneakers app explode on your phone, it would be the most wanted shoe. The Batman
I'd buy 3 of them. I don't care if I'm spending $1,000. I'm buying 3 of them.
The Batman 6s would destroy every other.
You don't even need the boot extension. Just make them a Batman colorway with the Batman logo in place of the Jordan logo.
To be quite honest, it just needs to be black with the Batman Return with the snow logo,
with the white one, right? With the white Bat logo
and the box with the Batman with the snow on it. But if they would have came out with a pair with the little extensions to make them the boots for the winter,
yeah. Oh, well, that could be like the alternate. You know what I mean? Like you can get the deluxe with the extension, but the regular.
Keith, I've sent emails, bro.
Nike needs to call us, man.
I've sent emails like somebody got to listen to me.
I've been saying this 30 years. They need to make officially licensed Batman Jordan 6s.
I've done mock-ups on my own just because. Like I was like, y'all, you know, this like the shoe game is getting crazy, y'all. Like you think the Spider-Man ones do good? The Batmans come out. Is I'm telling you, it's over.
I mean, I tried, like when Shang-Chi came out, I tried to like tell Nike to market the Shang-Chi ones as like Shang-Chi ones and not just the Jordan whatevers.
Yeah.
But the Jordans, first of all, the Jordan 6 is the best shoe ever. That's like my
it's a
all-time favorite Jordan.
It feels good on the foot.
I had maroon and white ones back in '92, man. Like that, the all white with the maroon tongue. They were like my favorite shoe.
I got 3 pairs right now. I got the Travis Scotts. I got the reflective 3M 6s, and I got a regular pair of the infrared. Like, nah, the 6s is a shoe. It's a problem. And I was like, y'all really out here sitting on Batman 6s and y'all ain't putting them out?
Never put them out.
And I don't know if I blame Nike. I'm like DC, Warner Brothers. Like, what are you?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I mean, you already lost it. Like 2022 was when they should have done it. 30th anniversary, Batman Returns, put out the Batman 6s.
Preach it to the choir, bro. You know.
I'm so glad I got a chance to talk to you about it because I'm
talking
to the wind.
who else I gotta talk to? Like, y'all need to do these 6s.
Because like it's also like a cool piece of trivia because not a lot of people know that the Jordans were the Batman boots. Like they literally were wearing. Michael Keaton was wearing Jordan 6s when he was Batman.
And you know what else hit? Because recently people have found out that like the Green Goblin costume was the green foams.
Oh yeah.
And they put the green foams back out. They put the same exact foam, those foams that they made for the costume for the Green Goblin outfit. They put them back out, and the Willem Dafoe picture was being spread around the internet because everybody know like Green Goblin, like it's out.
But that's now if Nike does it, they're gonna feel like they just
Batman.
Yeah, I mean, it's still like Nike. We said earlier, Batman gonna sell no matter what.
Like it's Nike either way. They shoe wise they win, but it don't even matter. People just want this. They got a couple more years. 35th anniversary, Nike. Yeah. Who I got to talk to get the DC people and Nike people in the room? What PowerPoint I got to put up?
I mean, it's like you said, it's on Nike because I feel like Warner Brothers would do it in a heartbeat.
Nah, I don't know, man. The DC people ain't always hip to the streets like that. Like I'm surprised we finally got it. We got a Batman Kith collection, and I spent too much money. But like again, the streets want this. The streetwear game wanted to be cool. They're in a point. They rebuilding, they retooling what they are into the culture. Marvel had like a stranglehold.
Right.
And they gotta pick their battles and their points to get back in there. Because before all these people cared about all the MCU stuff, again, we talked about it. 89 to 92, Batman was king.
I'm saying 2027 Christmas. Because this might take a few years for the legal stuff to pan out.
Yeah.
And that's the 35th anniversary. Batman Returns, greatest Christmas movie of all time. Shout out to Die Hard. And if you put out Batman 6's Christmas 2027,
Man,
you would be a gazillionaire. I'm just saying.
like, who do I need to sit in front of Michael Jordan so he can push the lever? Like, it's like you want to make some more money that holiday season?
Someone needs to listen to this and tell me that they're going to do it, because thank God, because I've been preaching to the choir. I'm not even preaching to the choir. I've been shouting into the wind for like 30 years that I need
I've been in it, and then you got the Travis Scott sixes with the little compartment on the side, the little pocket. You can make that to the utility belt. Use that same bill. You can make that like a little utility belt.
They just released some like whack ass Batman Crocs recently.
Yo, the kids love the Crocs, man. I know why.
I'm saying though, like,
but they put the sixes out. I'm telling you,
you can if you can make a Croc look like the Batmobile, you can make fucking Batman sixes.
You can, yes, and again, sold out. StockX prices hit 5K.
Sneaker app would be
destroy every store.
Yeah, the thing is, no one will be able to get it because it'd just be the scalper.
It's just the bots.
Every sneaker show, every sneaker show, you'd be buying them for like $3,000 each.
Complex do a whole hour on the Batman sixes.
I'm right there with you, man.
The Batman Returns sixes with the snow box. It'd be crazy.
It'd be so good. You could just all black sixes with a white bat logo on the back in place of the Nike Air. That's it. That's all you need.
And you got to put the Batman symbol on the sole.
Well, yeah, in place of the Jordan logo. Yeah. Because it's got that funky, like the lightning design. You just replace all the Jordans. I mean, you gotta have one Jordan somewhere, I guess.
Yeah. You because they can do it once you have the Jumpman and the other have the Batman symbol. Yeah. And
yes.
And then the inner sole got the little Batman Return symbol. Maybe you even have the date too from when the movie came out. Yeah.
Right.
Like, yeah.
So many things you could do
with a hologram tag like it's 1992.
Hey, drop the mic, Julian. That's how we're gonna end this podcast. With a what multiverse do you want to live in? The one where you had Black Robin in 1992, or the one where we could have a pair of Jordan 6s with the Bat logo?
If we would have had the Black Robin, we would have already had the 6s.
That's true. That's nothing truer than that. Julian, this has been such a fun conversation, reliving Batman Returns. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you for inviting me.
This is a great launch of the second season. And if nothing else, hope people read your work on the internet. Tell people how they can find you.
On social media is Julian Lytle, Lytle is how you spell my last name. You can find my reviews on the Comics Beat and also on riot-us.com, and on the show Geek Girl Riot sometimes as a host, and then randomly when I appear on other podcasts like this one, I'll share it online. Oh yeah, if you care, I make a webcomic called Ants.
Yes, read the webcomic.
.thejulianlytle.com. Hopefully my site don't crash because I don't know, the internet's weird now. But yeah, that's it. But mostly it's review times. Movies is coming out, Oscar titles and stuff.
Yeah. Well, Julian, thank you. Hopefully you'll come back and talk about some other DC movies. I might make you watch some more. I may have to pull you in for some of the more whack DC movies because it's hard to get folks to agree to talk about some of the worst movies.
I review some of them, so yeah, I'm with it. Like I probably bought them just as posterity.
Oh, I'm too much of a completionist to not own every single movie DC's ever made. So thank you for listening to DC Multicast. Find the podcast on hardknockmedia.com. Subscribe to it on iTunes and Spotify, and go to thenerdsofcolor.org to see everything else that I'm doing. Follow us on social media everywhere at The Nerds of Color. And until next time, same bat time, same bat podcast.